Sure. All right, all right. Oh, I see Josephine's here. Hey, Josephine. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen about what we're going to talk about. When we say spill the tea, we mean just go on ahead and share the stuff that most people, aren't really talking about. Most doctors aren't really talking about. We weren't really talking about it until our eyes got opened, right, Dr. Esther? So here
Yep.
we are now. Spilling the tea, spilling the tea. So let me get our screen set up because I hate being up here all by myself. I'm not doing this by myself. I have my lovely, lovely co-host, Dr. Esther. So for you all that don't know, I am Dr. Tiffany Marie. I am a double board certified physician in family and lifestyle medicine. And for 20 years, I did the thing. Hey, doctor, not doctor. I called Josephine a doctor. Hey, Josephine Camuto. I did the thing. I went to medical school. I did the practice. I did the urgent care. I did telemedicine. I followed the algorithms. The algorithms had me writing prescriptions for anytime those numbers were out of whack. The blood pressure, the sugar, the cholesterol, because that's what I was trained to do. That was how I followed or caught myself helping my patients. But unfortunately, after 20 years and doing all these various types of avenues of medicine, I realized nobody's really getting better. People are looking worse. People are getting older. They're needing medications for the side effects for the medications for the blood pressure, the sugar, the cholesterol. They're needing CoQ10 because now they have muscle cramps from their cholesterol medicine. They're needing prescriptions for problems that a medication caused. And you know what? They aren't doing better. Those numbers may look better, but they don't feel better. How many times do you have normal numbers and you feel bad? That happens way too much. So, one, I got my eyes opened. I had a colleague who was board certified in lifestyle medicine, and I said, let me figure out what this is. What the heck is lifestyle medicine? That's a real thing. And it is. It's a real specialty. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about going after the root causes of conditions, the lifestyle, the stress, how we sleep, what we're putting in our bodies, how we're exercising, all the things we know we're supposed to do. There's science and studies that back this stuff up, people. And so once I did that, it was like I went down a rabbit hole. I'm on social media talking about these things and sharing. And that's how I got connected with Anne Marie, an engineer, no less, who said, hey, these products I think can do something for you. I think they're going to help you with the people you're trying to reach. And of course, I was a skeptic, and some people on the call might understand how that feels. And I had to vet this for myself, much like I did when the pharmaceutical reps would come to the office. They had to tell me everything. They didn't like seeing me because I was not easy. I was not easy prey. Okay. It had to make sense to me, right? This had to make sense to me. And once I looked at the science, it did. Then I took it for myself, got off of my blood pressure medicine. I stopped having to take my antidepressants. My face cleared up. That hot flash, that perimenopausal symptoms, the weight gain around the midsection, all that stuff started getting better. And I said, okay, this stuff works. I gave it to people in my family, my brother on insulin, Trulicity, metformin, and literally right out of the ICU, I put him on this stuff. Then these products we're going to talk about, I put him right on these products because one, he wasn't getting any better. He wasn't listening to anybody. He wasn't really taking his medications. He could drink a drink, and he did. Got off the insulin, Trulicity, and metformin, and so many other people. And along the way, I got to meet other like-minded people, other smart, intelligent, gorgeous ladies who are here to help me spill the tea. That's Dr. Esther.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Esther. I am family medicine based in Houston. And just like Dr. Tiffany, we were trained to be doctors. We came out into the field, and over time, you just feel like all you do is write one prescription after the other, and it becomes a game of whack-a-mole. Every time the patient comes back, they didn't feel better, and now you're trying to convince them, well, your blood pressure is controlled. Yeah, those numbers look okay, but if they forget their medication for even a weekend, they're busy calling you. Could you please send me 3 pills because I went on this weekend getaway and now, you know what happens to my blood pressure if I don't take my pill. And you're thinking, really, is this it? That this is like a dam? If the medication is acting like a dam, if that dam for anything gets breached, everything is just, going crazy. And then it just feels like they come back and now they have a side effect, and you're trying to figure out, is this really a side effect? Because those medications have side effects that are longer than the benefits. And now you're trying to figure out, was this a side effect? Was this, or is this a new symptom altogether? And it's frustrating for a doctor, it's frustrating for the patient, but we just don't know. But it would be good if the patients were coming back and saying, you know what, I feel great. Yes, I'm taking all these many pills, but I feel great. But that was not the case. The patients came back looking worse. Their labs got worse year after year. Even when you started them on some medication, things were just getting worse. It wasn't really getting any better. And somewhere, in the back of your mind, you show up to work and you're doing these things, but you just keep feeling, really, is this what I trained for? Is this what I am supposed to be doing? Just writing prescriptions. And at the end of it all, the patient still doesn't do well. And that's it. With 15 medications, well, you started seeing them without any medication, but all you just feel like is you just started one. And sometimes I would wonder, did they get a bad outcome because of a reaction and interaction out of all the 15? I mean, by the time someone's on 15 medications, you have no clue really what's interacting with the other. Yes, we have all those drug interaction things, but at 15, I mean,
Right.
who knows?
Right.
Or was it really a process, just something that was happening in the body? But anyway, with all that going on, and then I get to a place where I start feeling like I myself, this may be where I'm heading, because I started feeling as bad as my patients were feeling, the fatigue, the wondering, why do I feel like I have cotton wool in my brain, like someone needs to come and pat the curtain for me to see clearly? That mid-afternoon slump and wondering, I mean, how did I used to train as a doctor and be up all day and part of the night, and now I can't make it through a day, in the afternoon, and wondering why I couldn't control myself around food. I used to call it's just a sweet tooth, but it comes concerning where you have this sweet tooth at 10 a.m. and then at noon and then at 2 p.m. And anyway, amidst all this and knowing what I knew about when you start on that medication journey and that it just becomes one after the other, I must say I was at a place in my life where I was really worried. I was really worried about what was coming. And I tried to do all the things that, we advise our patients, all the lifestyle changes and all those things, but it was hard. Let me tell you guys, it was hard. I know all about intermittent fasting. I know someone won a Nobel Peace Prize for this, and showed that it works, but I tried to do it and I would keep falling off the wagon, so to speak. Until I joined something that Josephine was doing, and Dr. Tiffany was talking about me, and I wondered, how did she know all this? Because she was literally describing me in everything. Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling like this and like this? And I started paying attention. And let's just say before the end of the week, I had already ordered my pack and started taking it. And all those things are history, including things that I didn't even know had anything to do with insulin resistance. And I thought, okay, yeah, that's, I guess, where you get to once you reach your 40s. That's what you go through. And I'm like, okay, that's not an issue. This is the issue. But then when everything improves and you're like, wow, you mean all this was part of this whole issue? So, I say you may come into this thinking you're going after one particular concern, but the benefits go beyond that one particular concern to stuff you didn't even know you were dealing with, or stuff that you've normalized for the last 10 years and said, well, this is the way my mom went through this, my dad went through this, so I'm just going to go through this. No, you literally get surprised when you look back and wonder, wait a minute, I haven't had to use my salon pads for the last 3 months because there's no pain. So please listen keenly, and listen to, we can't really go through every single thing that benefits from you taking control of your sugar control and your gut health and your hormonal health. So many things are impacted. If we were to go through everything, we'd need to be here for alive for 24 hours or even more. There is just so much. So listen to this and know that you can apply this as long as you're healthy at core with your metabolic health. A lot of other things just fall into place. So come into this with that mindset. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Esther. I am so happy you are here and with me on this journey. And so, Miss Laura. So, we like to put our guests on first to one, get them to share their personal experience. And so, Laura, you should be able to unmute. If you cannot, yeah,
I
yep.
am. Mhm.
So, I am going to move us out the way because I like for you to have the spotlight, lady. What's great is, Laura agreed to do this. I mean, earlier today, she didn't get that much of a heads up, and she was like, "Okay, sure, Dr. Tiffany." So I'm so happy that you came on. So share with us, where were you when you heard about these products, and how were you feeling in your body, and what has happened since? What are some of the things that you've noticed that you think people need to hear about?
Well, as far as where I was in a place, I was everything Dr. Esther described, as she felt like, you all were talking about her. I felt the same way. I had the inflammation. I had the high blood pressure. Ever since COVID, I had COVID twice. My blood pressure would not normalize. I was in a pre-diabetic stage. Um, I could not lose the weight, and this was happening all in my early 50s. And I just could not get the weight off. And I had already given, I think I had gotten to like 201 pounds, and just nothing was working. Um, Also, I have scoliosis, so I have two curves in my spine. And over the years, I've never experienced pain, but as I began to progress in age, I could feel more pain from my back. Um, and that was a big one. I had the sciatica. Um, I had the brain fog. I would go to bed tired. I would wake up tired on my job. I could not concentrate. It was a long list. So, and I didn't know what to do about it because a feeling like that on an emotional level takes you to a different place. The other thing I forgot to mention was anxiety. My in my family history, there is evidence of mental illness and depression, and I started feeling some of that. So with all of those things going on in my body, I began to think, well, what what's going to happen to me? If I'm feeling like this now, how long am I going to last? So my doctors prescribed medicine, for the blood pressure, which did not work. Um, she kept increasing, the milligrams, and it only made me short of breath. With my A1C, my A1C would not go down. I could not get out of that pre-diabetic stage. So with all those things, with all that being said, I felt like my life was just slipping away from me, and that bothered me. That increased my anxiety because my children, they're grown. As a matter of fact, today is my son's 30th birthday. I didn't even know if I was going to live long enough to even see my children celebrate their lives because of the way I felt. But lo and behold, last year in July, some friends of mine told me about a system. And it was a system that was helping people as I watched the Zoom, just as many of you are watching today. And I thought this could not be possible. Who gets rid of diabetes? Who gets out of a pre-diabetic stage? And mind you, my doctor, all of my blood work was abnormal, and my doctor never mentioned it to me. And that bothered me as well. So when I was told about this system, I didn't hesitate because I know I needed something. I needed something more than what I was doing because what I was doing was not working. And when I decided to get this system, I purchased this system, I felt the change immediately. And when I felt that change, I could feel it was as if something in my brain was working, like, okay, like something was being eliminated, like, I don't know, this brain fog. Because that same day, my thinking became more clear. My thinking became more clear. I had an increased level of energy. I work at a school, and everybody, if if you know me, you know I would never walk from one side of that school to the next because I didn't have the energy. That particular day, a colleague asked me to check her copier, and I actually said, "I'm coming over." And she said, "You're doing what?" And I said, "Yes, I'm walking over." And I told her about the system, and she got on it immediately and saw differences and saw changes. My inflammation is gone. I've been on it since last year. I think I said this. I've been on it since last year in July. My inflammation is gone. My A1C has not gone down, y'all, since 2021. This is the first time my A1C has gone down. So I'm out of a pre-diabetic stage. My blood pressure, I could not get my blood pressure to normalize. I did not want to be on a diuretic. My cousin, God bless her soul, she passed away from a diabetic destroying her, a diuretic destroying her kidneys. And I did not want to be on a diuretic. My blood pressure has normalized. And my blood pressure had normalized since COVID. I have no inflammation. I'm no longer exhausted. I wake up with energy. I go to work with energy. I'm up this time of the night, and that's something I could never do in the past. My children even notice. They're like, "Mommy, yeah, you're doing what? And where are you going?" Because they haven't seen me that energetic in so long. My grandchildren, I'm able to go outside with them, walk around, play with them, and I could not do that. I was in tears when my daughter would ask me in my early 50s, "Could you watch my son?" Because I know I did not have the energy to do it.
Mm.
The back pain, the two curves in my spine, I have no pain from my back. It might
Wow.
bother me every now and then, but when I drink my tea, when I utilize my system, my feel great system, everything changes. Every allergy season came in this year. I might have had a sneeze here or there, but I didn't suffer from those allergies like how I did in the past. I mean, this system has changed my life, and I don't want to be long, but this system literally gave me my life back. And that's why, even with my friends, when y'all see me on Facebook and I'm talking about it, and I'm saying it is true. And it's not only me, but it's happening for thousands of people globally. Do you know
Yes,
how it feels? Yes, to hear somebody say that I'm no longer a type 2 diabetic. Oh my gosh.
yes, yes,
This
yes.
is an awesome feeling for me. And I only pray that, you all can, if you're experiencing some of these things, that you would look into this system. It will give your life back. So, with that being said, thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you, Dr. Esther. Y'all are wonderful. And thank you so much for inviting me to speak tonight. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You are more than welcome. Oh man, reversing diabetes, reversing blood pressure, decreasing inflammation, pain improvement, and being able, I mean, we discount some of these things, but being able to take care of the grandchildren, literally being in tears. I did not realize that you were having so much uh pain and struggle because when I saw Laura, she's like bouncing around just fine. I wouldn't even been able to believe that this is how she was living. And so, yes, we literally are helping people get their lives back. We really are. And it's just two simple plant-based products of which we're going to go into, but let's talk about the problem. Let's talk about the problem, why people are feeling this way. And the reality is, we spend so much time thinking, uh, my A1C is normal, so I'm probably okay. I'm right out the range, so I'm probably good. None of this stuff applies to me. But when people start talking about these symptoms like Laura talked about, that's when I start using that to penetrate into the labs being normal and not feeling good. Let's get to the real cause. So let's talk about spotting insulin resistance beyond the A1C. Okay, it's not just the A1C. And so I like to bring this up, but I have a lot of people on here that probably know this, right? What comes to your mind when you hear insulin resistance? Most people are thinking about sugars. Most people are thinking about people in their family they know they've had to give themselves injections for their sugar diabetes, right? And there's so many complications that come from, by the time you get diabetes, then you have all these other things. But 10 to 15 years before diabetes or pre-diabetes starts, we're dealing with all these other things, okay? That gives us the brain fog, the fatigue, the weight gain, and even the gut health issues, okay? Now, insulin plays a big role in determining which fuel we're going to burn, if we're going to be a sugar burner or a fat burner. And so when insulin is high, it's going to help you store what you eat into those fat cells. That's why you have so many people doing all this exercise and then eating less. And they're like, I can't lose weight like I did when I was in my 20s. Something's wrong. Yeah, you're having a hormone problem, and not just the perimenopause or menopausal hormones, the insulin hormone problem. And so what are these symptoms we're talking about? So just like Laura was bringing up, inflammation's not on here, but it's over here on the symptoms on the right side. Inflammation. We see it's not polycystic ovarian syndrome anymore. It's now polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. It's more appropriately named because it is a metabolic issue. That's the leading cause of infertility amongst women, and it has to do with metabolism, with insulin resistance, fatty liver, heart disease, the leading killer. This is still the #1 killer despite all the information we have at our fingertips. This is still taking people out. Heart disease, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, which is now called type 3 diabetes. And I say now, that's loosely said. That's been over a decade when it got that title. And if you didn't know that, okay, that's why you're on this call. We're spilling the tea. Migraines, erectile dysfunction, neuropathy, and then that weight gain, that stubborn weight gain, and then diabetes. And I said that last on purpose, because diabetes is at the end stage of insulin resistance. You get all these other symptoms on the right: the frequent urination, the frequent hunger, the tired after eating, the cravings, okay? Memory fog. I don't want to read through the list because it's exhaustive, and there's so many more things. It's not even just that. So when we look at the A1C, a normal A1C, because diabetes and prediabetes is the end stage of insulin resistance, a normal A1C does not mean you have low risk. No, ma'am, no, sir. Not at all. And so if you look at this picture at the bottom here, we diagnose diabetes when your A1C is 6.5 plus. We diagnose prediabetes when your A1C is 5.7 to 6.4. And then we call you normal if your A1C is under 5.7. Okay. And so I've had plenty of patients that would be like, oh, I'm good. My A1C is 5.6. I'm good. It's party time. Nope. Nope. No, it's not. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that's not really party time. But let's start back on where your A1C is actually the lowest risk. So 4.8 to 5.0, this is where you're at the lowest risk. But if you look at the guidelines of, the governing bodies, they don't tell us to get your A1Cs here. They tell us to keep your A1Cs at like 6.5 or 7. But if I go back to this slide, y'all, well, I can't go back to it. Yeah, if I go back to this slide, look, 6.5 or 7, that has you in diabetes. If that doesn't make some of you feel a little uncomfortable, it should. The goal isn't here. Unfortunately, the goal in medicine isn't to help reverse, isn't to want you to reverse. It's to want to keep you on control and keep you on medications. Yeah, I said that, and that's not nice. But again, I got comfortable in my whole spilling the tea comment, right? So we want you here. 4.8 to 5.0 is the lowest risk for heart disease, that disease that's taking us out of here, right? 5.1 to 5.4, that's when it starts to increase. So if you haven't been making any lifestyle changes, this is the time to start working on your lifestyle, okay? Working on the things, the stress, what you're eating, how you're exercising, your mood, okay? And then 5.5 to 5.6, this signifies an increased risk in heart disease risk, okay? Increased cardiovascular risk, suggesting the need to really start working on things. And a lot of times, some of your doctors are talking about lifestyle changes, but here they're really trying to make sure you're on the medication. So about here is usually when you're getting the metformin talk, is usually what's happening at 5.7. At least they're trying to treat earlier, but I say let's fix the lifestyle first. So you don't need the medications would be great, right? Now, how did we get here? How does insulin resistance develop? Oh, it's a complicated weave. It is. And last night we had a great call on how our environment has changed so much. The frequent refined carbs are at our fingertips everywhere. You go to meetings, you have snacks here. We organize meetings all the time, and we always feel like we need to have food there. Since when? Back in the 1970s, we didn't have food every 5 minutes. We weren't constantly snacking. You take your kids somewhere and they're constantly giving your kid a snack. You get snacks like that when I was growing up in the 70s. Anybody else get snacks like that? I didn't. And then the going out to eat often, that didn't happen. The fast foods, those are refined carbohydrates. We didn't even have all these processed carbohydrates that we have now, all these snack cakes, these cookies. No, we had a lot more whole foods back then. Most of the time we were eating foods being prepared by our parents. It wasn't so often that we had all these fast processed fake foods that are literally killing us. So what they do is they spike your glucose, higher than just doing regular carbohydrates, your whole grains. They do. That makes your pancreas have to release insulin because its job is to get that glucose into the cell so it's out the bloodstream so it can be used for energy. Okay? Well, if you're constantly eating, you're snacking all the time. You're going to a 10 a.m. meeting, you got your bagels. You got your 2 p.m. meeting, and you got the donuts. Or somebody has a birthday, now you got a birthday cake. Or you have pizza for lunch. That's chronic insulin release. Do you see that? Your glucose is constantly being elevated. So then your insulin has to be released constantly too, and it floods the bloodstream. Okay, that high insulin starts to cause a lot of damage. But over time, what it does is it makes your cells stop listening to it. Your cells actually down-regulate those receptors so it does not even bind and listen to the insulin. So that glucose can't get into the cells. It's in the bloodstream causing havoc, wreaking havoc on the blood vessels, wreaking havoc on the kidneys, causing things like polycystic ovarian syndrome on the ovaries. Causing the blood pressure, causing the cholesterol. It actually makes the liver make more cholesterol, okay? And then when it's high in the bloodstream, it also makes your body store that fat. The food gets stored as fat. The glucose, that energy gets stored as fat, and usually around the midsection, usually around the organs, okay? That's the stuff that kills us, not the subcutaneous fat, not the jiggly fat. No, it's that deep down fat that gives us that beer gut and is trapping our organs. That's what takes us out of here. And the reality is now it's not so much of a willpower. Our environment is just flooding us with these things, these processed foods, the constant snacking everywhere. Even our cars have more cup holders. When I was doing that call yesterday, I was realizing that is really true. Our cars have more cup holders. Why does a car that seats, 7 people need 19 cup holders? Okay. What is that about? We've actually normalized eating and drinking while we're driving. We've normalized eating and drinking all the time, snacking all the time, and it has become bad habits. And so, yeah, it's hard to fight habits with willpower. And then the hormones that are actually driving and pushing it when insulin is high, yeah, it's going to be driving those symptoms you saw, the constant craving, you get the brain fog because your sugars drop. Now you want to eat again. This drives that behavior. And so it ends up making us feel like, I can't do this. I need help, or I can't sustain it, and I can't be consistent. And that's what I saw with my patients when I tried to implement lifestyle changes. It became, I'm having a hard time staying consistent. Or they'd stay on the wagon, like we'd so to say, for maybe a couple of months, but something would happen, a birthday, a meeting. They got exposed to things that they used to like to eat, and those cravings creeped up on them. And they could not say no. But instead of getting back up and doing the things they know they needed to do, they would just eat the whole cake or eat the whole package of cookies and would just give up. So having tools to make those changes easier and sustainable with coaching and support has made all the difference. And that's why we're on this call, is we're trying to spill the tea. You don't have to do this by yourself. You don't have to wait. At the root of all of this, it's the lifestyle changes. And I like to say the lifestyle changes are like having a fist fight. Yes, you both have your fists out, you're fighting, it's a fair playing field, but these tools are like bringing a knife to the fist fight. It shuts it down. It no longer makes it fair. It allows you to be able to fight those urges in this environment that we can't fully change. We can't fully change where we work. So having tools to help us operate within this system makes all the difference. So don't wait. I'm so glad you're on this call, and I hope you decide to share, what we're talking about with people, who are struggling, because there are too many people who are struggling. What I've come to find out is that there's so many people who are now getting their lives back, and they're living. They're living, and they're living at a way that they weren't even living before. We heard Laura's story. Come on. If that didn't touch you and make you want to shed a tear, it did. It did for me. 100% it did. Now we have Donna. Donna here, A1C 6.4 to 5.5, lost 28 pounds in her 70s, no less. So many people in that age group think, I'm just going to be this way. I can't fix this. But 100% she was able to work on this. Even actually cleared up her astigmatism, something that we're told, nope, that's not going anywhere. Yep, she actually fixed that too. Oh, bear with me. I thought I had all of it going. Looks like I just have a picture of Miss Donna here. Oh, it's going backwards. Okay. And Pastor James. Pastor James, look, somebody struggling with his blood pressure, but he has a whole list. And his list is actually increased. It's increased to like 13 now. So many things have gotten better. Off the CPAP machine. Okay. Losing weight, enjoying life again. Myself, yes, somebody who put myself at the bottom of the list, was not really taking care of myself. But what I did was I started developing blood pressure. I was on antidepressants. I was on a diuretic. I didn't want to be on a diuretic either because my face was all a mess. So I needed something to help with my hormones, I thought, right? And I did all that. But once I started using the products, I was able to get that weight around my midsection down, able to get off of my blood pressure medicine, able to get off of my antidepressant and stop having hot flashes. Okay. Tanya was dealing with wearing her oxygen 24/7. Now she only uses it at night because she does have a genetic issue with her lungs, but still was able to get that inflammation down, but reversed her type 2 diabetes. No more blood pressure, all 4 medications, and lost 45 pounds. Okay, and Jackie is hilarious with her. I can't I can't make this up. But I mean, lost weight, reversed her diabetes, and yes, it's just unbelievable. Severe back pain, so much so that she was about to have surgery, but when she started getting on these products, it helped her inflammation so much so she didn't even have to get the back surgery. Okay. Do you hear me? That is like real stuff happening to real people. Ro, one of my friends whose A1C was so high, her machine said over 14. That's how her machine read it. She was able to get down to 5.9 without doing the starter pack, like we like to say. The starter pack you get when you get diagnosed with diabetes, the lisinopril, the lovastatin, the metformin. Yeah, she refused and was able to get her A1C down naturally with these products. And then this is one of our colleagues' dads who was able to get his A1C down from 77.1 to 6.4 in his 70s. Again, age does not matter. And a lovely couple I love because this is important for me. When you have someone with you, accountability is huge. We do offer that in our support, right? But doing this with someone else makes all the difference. And so this married couple, Jackie, she was able to get down 124 points, 24 pounds in 14 months. Okay, no longer pre-diabetic. Her hubby was able to reverse his type 2 diabetes from A1C of 7.7 to 5.0, which is where you have the lowest risk of cardiovascular disease off all medications. So having someone do this with you, yes, that makes this so much easier. So much so that if you are thinking about the products, trying to connect with someone you know could benefit is going to be huge for your success. And Jim, A1C was 12.2, now 4.8. No more blood pressure medicines, no more IBS, acid reflux, migraines, insomnia gone, down 2 pant sizes, and no more meds. And so I can keep going forever. I have so many pictures, hundreds of people. I know thousands that are actually having great results, so much so that we're screaming this from the rooftops. So I'm not going to keep showing you everybody, but I think that's a good place to stop. Don't you think, Dr. Esther?
Well, there's never a good place to stop when you're talking about a good thing. So that anyway, we'll just switch over so that we can tell you what this amazing products are. You know, sometimes you're just wondering, okay, what is it? What is it? Why aren't you saying? Are you just calling it this products? Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please. Okay, can you all see that? Give me a thumbs up, Dr. Tiffany. Can see that?
Not yet, but it's coming now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so these tools, the knife that Dr. Tiffany talks about that we need to bring to this fist fight to give us that edge, that, just to let us be able to do this easily without feeling like it's taking the little energy that we have left to start with out of us. This makes it easy. It's called the Feel Great Protocol. Now, what is the Feel Great Protocol? It is 2 food-based products, which we also call nutraceuticals because they don't have any pharmaceuticals in them. They're plant-based. And then we combine this with the good science of time-based eating. I mentioned at the beginning, someone won a Nobel Prize for this. So this is like Nobel level kind of practice that we're doing here. There's 2 products and the time-based eating. And these 2 products actually make it easy for you to do that. So together they form this simple, sustainable protocol. And that is key. There are so many things out there that you could use. They may be simple for a week, but are they sustainable for the long term? Most of the people you've had talking here have said, I've been on this for months, I've been on this for years, and they're still going because it's so easy. It's not one of those things. It's not a cleanse. It's not a quick diet that you do, and then in 3 weeks, you're just like, okay, I can't take this anymore. No, you're able to continue doing this every day, and you just keep feeling better. Again, it's not a program. It's not a quick fix diet. This is something sustainable and you can keep doing it. So what are the 2 products? The first one is a tea. It is called Unimate. It is a plant-based tea from the yerba mate plant. The yerba mate plant is a plant that has grown for thousands of years in South America. This is ultra concentrated. The main ingredient in the yerba mate tea that we take advantage of is called chlorogenic acid. This has about 375 times more chlorogenic acid than you would get if you just got the dry leaves and steeped them. It is also purified. People read about, and that's a question I get, oh, they said yerba mate, it's probably not safe. It's because of the practices around how it is traditionally used. But this has been fire roasted, taking off any toxins from the leaves, and then it's been purified and then super concentrated. What does it do? That time-based eating that we talked about, this helps you be able to do it because it increases your own body's natural GLP-1 production by 67 to 70%. Now, you've all heard about GLP-1s, the ones that come in shots, and the main thing that they do is make you not feel hungry. Well, you do produce this hormone, the natural one, the original one, not the cloned version. You do produce it in your intestines. So this tea is making you produce more of it. And therefore, you are actually doing the same thing, avoiding feeling like you're not hungry, you don't feel hungry, and you also avoid all those cravings, the snacking and everything. Pretty soon, all your 19 cup holders will not have anything other than 2, water and a bottle of Unimate. So that's all you need. You don't need all the others. So it helps you not feel hungry. You don't keep snacking. It also gives you energy. The first thing that most people complain about is, I'm tired all the time. I have no energy. It gives you that energy. It also clears your brain. It gives you mental clarity, which is something that, again, many of us complain about, even before we ever get to be told you have prediabetes or anything like that. The things that take us to the doctor first is, I'm tired all the time. I feel like I sleep well, but I wake up and I'm just tired and I feel like I'm foggy. This gives you that mental clarity. It also helps you maintain your endurance and stamina for people who work out. I've had many questions about, okay, I work out in the morning, but you're telling me to skip breakfast. How does that work? Well, this actually gives you that stamina to be able to work out. And now you have a fasting workout, which actually just magnifies the effect. So this gives you that if you're running, if you're practicing for, if you're training for a race or something like that, this gives you that edge. It helps with recovery. It supports, as I said, the healthy cognitive processes, and you just feel great while taking it. It obviously supports blood glucose control. It's been likened to metformin or even better. So again, people hear of metformin, the first thing they think about is kidney disease. Well, this is at par or better than metformin in terms of blood glucose control, and you don't have to worry about kidney disease. It promotes your body's fat burning. So again, another thing, many of us want particularly that visceral fat to be burned. We want it to go away. So here is something that is now you're fasting, but it's also promoting that fat burning. And when you produce ketones, your brain loves ketones. It loves ketones as the source of energy. And that is part of how, you get that clarity of your mind, no brain fog, because the brain is now getting its preferred source of energy. That is the Unimatic. We'll talk about how we use them. The other one is the Balance, which is a blend of 7 different fibers and also multivitamins added to it. This, again, when you take fiber, you feel full. So it will help curb your appetite between meals. Like once you take it, we take this as a pre-meal drink. You take it before a meal, then you're not going to feel hungry 2 hours later because you have this fiber sitting in your belly, and it slows down how fast that food moves through your gut. So again, you're not going to feel hungry soon. It also helps in reducing how fast and how high your glucose rises when you eat a meal. This is particularly important when you eat a high carbohydrate meal or when you have to indulge in dessert. It's your birthday and you feel I've got to have that slice of cake. There's a celebration. You don't want to be the person who says, no, I'm not going to have a slice of cake. You're armed with this. Sometimes life happens. You're on the road. You got to eat some fast food because that's what's available. You can't look for, you don't have the ability to be able to get the right kind of food. Like today, my son asked for Raising Canes he graduated from first grade today. Yay. So he asked for Raising Cane. And I wasn't going to say no to a first grader who says that's all he wants. So to Raising Cane we went. But you know what? I wasn't worried about that because I had my fiber with me. Even if I was eating food that I tell people, no, this is not food you should be eating every day. This one time I had my fiber with me. And so it made it semi-healthy because my sugar, I know, did not rise as fast as it would have if I didn't have that fiber. So it reduces, and that fast rise and how fast your blood glucose rises and how high is called the glycemic index. This has been studied by the University of Sydney, which is the home of the glycemic index, and they have found that it reduces that glycemic index by up to 40%. So if you don't have a glucose spike, you don't have an insulin spike. And that's the point which we want to control. If you don't have a glucose spike, then there is no insulin spike. Because we know if you keep getting insulin spikes and it stays up there, then all those things that Dr. Tiffany said will start happening. So really, we are controlling this right at the point of the source where that problem starts. This product also helps of course, supporting weight management and that glucose control. It helps you with that time-based eating because, again, if you're full, you're not going to be looking for food all the time. It has also been studied by the Cleveland Clinic. Everybody knows Cleveland Clinic, heart disease, cardiovascular disease. And they have said, and I will quote, that if such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular disease risk on a population basis, not just one person. We're talking population basis, and potentially decrease the dependence, the need or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. And we all know the lipid-lowering prescription drugs, statins. Again, Dr. Tiffany said you take statins and down the road, statins actually are a risk factor for diabetes. Do you know just how wrong that is? You go to your doctor because your cholesterol is giving you a problem, and then they give you a pill that they know will cause you to have diabetes later. It's just warped. I mean, this system, it's like you're just trying to feed the pharma companies with, potential patients, potential users of their prescription drugs down the road. So you don't have to, you can take this and avoid using statins. But of course, with all these things, you always want to do them with getting your doctor checking your labs to make sure that all these things are going right. The other thing it does is that the favorite food for your gut microbiome is fiber. When you feed your gut microbiome with its favorite food, then there is no survival of the fittest. There's just balance. Many people say my gut is imbalanced. This is the way to balance your gut. Feed the gut microbiome with what it needs, let it thrive, and let it decide what thrives. The gut microbiome is not just one, it's not one type of bacteria. There are trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungus, parasites. Yeah, all these things. You don't want to hear all the stuff that's living in your gut. But believe you me, it's beneficial to you. And you want all of it to be thriving. And the way to do that is by feeding it with a variety of fibers. We say eat 30 different types of fiber every week. I don't know how many people are able to do that, but at least this gives you that edge. You're already taking several of them and you're getting your vitamins. So how do we take this? We talked about the practice of time-based eating. So most of us, when we eat dinner, we sleep at some point, eat dinner 2 to 3 hours before your bedtime. You sleep, so that already gives you the first part of your fasting when you're not eating anything. So assuming you finish dinner by 7, 8 p.m., if you go until the next morning, 8 a.m., that's already 12 hours. Now, I know you probably will wake up hungry and you're thinking, how am I going to do this? Well, that's what the Unimate, that chlorogenic acid tea does. You start sipping on it and you sip on it slowly and it will help you extend that fast for as long as you want. You can go on up to 16 hours, which is the ideal, especially to start with. But we say we meet you where you are. If the thought of even going without food for breakfast is just making you get anxiety right now, please don't get anxiety. You can start with 12 hours. You can start with 12 hours. And then as you get comfortable, just increase it by an hour every week, or as you get comfortable with a goal of about 16 hours, Then when it comes to time for eating, you want to break your fast with a meal that has protein and good fat and fiber. You want to, after doing all that good work, you don't want to load your body with a lot of carbohydrates. At least give it protein, give it good fat, because that also keeps you fuller longer. And it doesn't give you any crash, like you don't get a high blood glucose and then followed by the crash. Now, if you do that and then take another chlorogenic acid tea, the Unimate, in the afternoon to help with any of that mid-afternoon slump or anything like that, and to help you stay all the way until time for dinner. Now, most of us probably eat dinner is our largest meal of the day. Those particularly with kids or families, it's the meal that you sit and eat together, so it tends to be the bigger meal. You take your balance just 5 to 10 minutes before your dinner. It's a pre-meal drink. You mix that with cold or room temperature water, or maybe just lukewarm water, and you want to chug it down very fast. You want it to be jelly in your belly, not jelly in the cup or jelly in the bottle, because for most people it becomes difficult to take. So you want to drink it before it starts thickening. You take that and then eat your dinner, and then it's repeat. Same thing. And I promise you it gets easier. The first week may be difficult when you're trying to do something new, because there's also just the force of habit that, oh, no, I do this. I'm used to drinking a cup of coffee at 10, or I'm used to having a muffin at this time. So you're not just, you know what you need to do, but there's also the force of habit, but it gets easier. It gets easier and you just suddenly realize, wow, if I'm actually not thinking about these things, my body just does not need them. So it gets easier. Don't worry about that first week. I say that first week is all about adjustment. It starts getting easier as you go by. So that's it. 2 teas and 1 fiber. There are people who will take 2 fibers, particularly people who just take 2 solid meals a day, and they will do balance before their lunch, especially if that has some carbohydrates in it. They will do a balance before lunch. What you want to make sure is that whenever you're taking a meal with carbohydrates, or if you're gonna, again, as I said, indulge in dessert or something, make sure you take your balance. You want to eat your meal. Don't split it. Sometimes I see people do dinner, they eat that at 7 and then they're taking something else at 9. No, put all your meals grouped together. So you just do one meal, whatever it is you're eating after you take your balance, eat it all together. Don't spread it out, because that's again where we start getting into trouble. You get an insulin spike after dinner, and then you're getting another little bump at 9 p.m. because you decided you're going to have cookies and milk before, don't do that. If you want those cookies, eat them right at the end of dinner so that they're all included with that pre-meal drink. You want to make sure that in between your meals, you have at least 4 hours. No snacking. You're not going to be drinking any sugary drinks. So your drinks are your chlorogenic acid tea, that's Unimate, your pre-meal drink, and water. That is it. That is this protocol. And, just to add there, things that make these products special is that we now have actually over 25 clinical studies that support the use of it. HSA and FSA qualified. As I said, it's a nutraceutical, no drugs in it. We are now in over 65 countries. And if you know anybody in Costa Rica, I think they just launched that this week. So, it is there. It is patented, so nobody can copy it. There are people trying to copy it. So if you're on here and you're wondering, how do I get this? You need to get that from the right channels. The person who invited you to this call can give you a link so that you make sure you're getting it from the right channels. Please don't get it from Amazon, because we cannot guarantee you're getting the right thing. Nobody copies something that doesn't work. So the moment you start seeing copycats, then this thing is working and now they want to capitalize on that. But please do not fall prey to that. Get the real thing. You have a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you take this product and you take them as advised, you follow the protocol, and you do not get any results, the company guarantees they'll give you back your money in 90 days if it doesn't work for you. I keep asking this. Nobody still has told me which drug company gives you a 90-day money-back guarantee if it doesn't work. If you know one, put it in the chat. Costs about $5 a day, $5.26 a day. That's less than most people spend on their cup of Starbucks coffee with all the added stuff. Less than people spend on lunch, less than people spend on their snacks in a day. And yet this is something that is going to be life-changing for less amount. We want to stay in this fat burning zone. We don't want to stay up there where there's cellular damage with inflammation, fat storage. We don't want to stay there, brain fog, all that resides up here. We want to stay down here where we are fat burning and we have relief from inflammation, relief from fatigue, relief from sleep issues. We want to stay down here. And as I said, we're now in so many countries. So, chances are we're wherever you're thinking your friends or family are, or someone that you're thinking about. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. And I will stop my sharing.
Yes, great job, Dr. Esther, of course.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Nope, that was good. I think we spilled the tea enough. We talked about the science, the background, and we talked about these products that we're seeing act like bringing a knife to a fist fight. Yeah, we spilled the tea pretty good. And so I enjoy the time that we get to do this. And so someone put in the chat, and anybody else, if you have any questions, now is your time to put something in the chat too. Someone asking about, what do you recommend for the different macros, the carbs and fats, or protein? How do you address this with your members, Dr. Esther?
Well, usually my goal is to tell them more to go for proteins. And you're doing proteins, you want to do fiber. Most people, when they start reducing how many times they eat, because of the way our food environment is, the thing that tends to suffer is protein. Rarely do carbs suffer because those are everywhere. They're gonna
Mhm.
sneak them into everything. There's gonna be carbs everywhere.
Yeah.
We ask you that when you eat carbs, don't worry too much if you're eating smart carbohydrates. And by this, I mean whole food carbohydrates. Because if they're coming with fiber, if you're eating a sweet potato as is, it is coming with fiber inbuilt. It is not processed. What you need to just make sure is that you're getting enough protein, because if you do protein, then what that means, if you're doing enough protein and enough fiber and good fats, what that means that you're not even going to be too hungry to start eating a lot of carbohydrates. So I'm not too keen on exact numbers. However, for the what is it called? For the protein, it always say it's what?
I mean, metabolic health usually uses that range of 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight,
Yes.
but I bring it down even lower because that can be a little intimidating for people. So 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal if you're doing 3 meals a day. So 120 grams would be great. But there is no cookie cutter. I love how you went and explained those things, but it's really kind of person dependent. What are your goals? Are your sugars really high? I mean, if you're somebody that eats 300 grams of carbohydrates, yeah, we need to bring that back. But we use the products to turn down those carbohydrate triggers. And so that helps a good deal with that. So that's something you actually talk to your sponsor about. That's what's the great thing about these products is you don't buy them off a shelf and then see you later. Now, if you want to have good success, you actually connect with the people to be able to get some better direction. But yeah, we don't want you eating a whole bunch of processed carbs. In fact, spoiler alert, nobody needs to be eating them anyway. Okay. Nobody. I don't care what kind of diet. I don't care if you think you're thin or healthy. Don't nobody need to eat that crap food. It's crap food. That is not for us. But anyway, side note. Shaw put in here, what about oatmeal? So, your oatmeal, you got to be very smart about that. Some of your oatmeal is very processed. You start getting into those particular named oats and they have different flavors. That's processed carbohydrates. So that is going to shoot up your glucose. And if you're somebody who wears a glucometer, you'll see it. And so going back to the rolled oats, going more to the original form, really, if we get back to the whole foods carbohydrates, like Dr. Esther was saying, you'll see that your glucose numbers don't spike as much when you're monitoring that. But again, the carbohydrates don't need to be the star of your plate. Your protein and fiber first. Eat protein and fiber first. If you focus on the order, it's not so much about the amounts. I hope that was helpful.
And the other thing just to remember is that particularly if you're doing a lot of protein, because that's again a mistake people make, they're taking too much protein and not lifting. If you're doing a lot of protein, you need to be using your muscles. So you just can't do protein and then sit and do nothing and say that, hey, I'm eating my protein. No, you need to be lifting. Otherwise, that protein starts becoming too much for your kidneys. So you want it, the more protein you eat, the more resistance training you should be doing. Let it go into building muscle.
Yeah. And then never eating carbohydrates alone. Again, we're thinking about the order, protein and fiber. So waking up eating a bowl of oatmeal, not the best thing. That's going to shoot up your sugar and thus your insulin. So being very mindful of that. Remember, carbs are not the star. Like our society has taught us, it is the star until they flipped over the new food pyramid. Thank goodness that it was the star of everything. It is not the star. Now, if we're trying to reverse these conditions. So thanks, y'all, for putting that question in there and asking more details. Thank you so much. Thanks, Catherine. Now it's about time for us to shut it down because it's getting late, especially for people on the East Coast. So
yeah.
do you have any parting words or you want me to shut it down? What do you want to do, Dr. Esther?
I will let you shut it down. All I will just say is, hey, people, you can keep hearing this news. There's something out here that can help you. You've heard about it. What are you waiting for? What is going to change between now and next month when you're thinking about it? Or what more research are you going to do? What more looking into this thing are you going to do? Ask your questions here. Get them answered. You will get all the support. This is not something that you're going to start and then you're left alone. That's the good thing about this. That's why it's not sold, in grocery stores or in the drug stores, because you do get the support of your sponsor. As you take it, you have someone to ask questions. You get an app that actually helps you track all these things. It's actually fun just filling it in and looking at all the resources that they give there, because we know this is an intervention. This is not just a product that you take. No, this is an intervention. It's going to go into habit changing. It's going to go into a change of mindset. So, get the support, know that you're not doing this alone. And as I said, 90-day money back guarantee.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So yeah, she said all the things. If you're anybody who's been dealing with any of these symptoms we talked about, the brain fog, the sugar, the blood pressure, the cholesterol, the weight gain that's not trying to move from your midsection, then and you've been looking for something and you stumbled across this either on the replay on Facebook or someone shared this with you, yeah, that wasn't by accident. I'm not a believer in accident. I believe these things are on purpose. I'm not wasting my time to get on here. I'm spilling the tea because this needs to be shared. So is Dr. Esther. Too many people have lost their lives from all these conditions, have been on these medications, and they don't feel better. Now is the time. You've heard the information. You have two choices. Sit on the information or actually do something about it. And so my prayer is that you push past inertia and you make a decision. You make the right decision for you, your family, and for everybody you know. Because we're seeing too many people win and we want you to win too. So thank you so much. I appreciate you all for being on this call and share with those that need to hear this information. We do this every Wednesday, except for like the third Wednesday. That's a company call. So we'll be getting back with you because on this Wednesday, actually, I'm gonna be out the country. So we might have to plan on how we're gonna do that, Dr. Esther.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay.
But yes,
Okay,
please share.
we'll let you know how we do this. So, okay.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
person, Joyce, that just joined in late, please reach out to the person that invited you and we will send you a recording because, hey, we recorded it today.
Yes, we did. Yes, we
Yeah.
did. All righty. You all have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night, Laura. Thank you.